PK Jain, if I can bring you in, you've heard a UPSC aspirant speak. These are not things that you would expect. But nonetheless, these are things that everybody knows of. These are like literally open secrets. You have an aspirant here saying that he's seen the palms being warmed. He's seen bribe being given. That's just one part of it. But the court really very strongly coming down. I mean, let's just look at what the police told the court today. When the police was asked about the SUV driver being arrested, who basically was just driving his SUV in an inundated road, and that's why he pressed his accelerator, the police said, we investigated it. The investigation was under stress. We were under pressure because of media. I mean, Mr. PK Jain, does the entire training of the police need to be done again? How can they buckle under something like this? The pressure of 3 children dying in the national capital wasn't strong enough for them. The burden of the media's pressure seemed to have been very, very high and heavy to carry. It's flabbergasting.
Namaskar, Sneha. Cases like this do put a lot of pressure on the investigating officer. He is required to produce results. And maybe he, in his enthusiasm or in his over-enthusiasm to show some results, he booked that cab driver, which was not actually required. And he today made a confession and requested the court to drop the cases or drop the sections which they had applied in the first place. Should not have been done in the first place. It is absolutely wrong. Now, as far as coming to these illegal, illegitimate centers in the basements are concerned, well, this is primarily the responsibility of the corporation so that they don't allow any commercial usage of the place, which is either meant for storage or for parking, etc. But the fact is that all these centers and many more are operating in Delhi and many other places illegally there are 3 agencies which make the money out of such places. One is the local corporator, the second is the local municipal corporation, and the third is the police. It's a fact of life. I'm from the police department. I'm making an admission. But police technically have no role to play. I mean, they till the time the case becomes like this, a tragedy like this happens, they have no role to play. It is predominantly the local corporator and the corporation predominantly who are responsible for ensuring that these rules are not flouted and the lives and limbs of the children or citizens are not endangered. So I hear apparently the things have gone wrong.
But Mr. PK Jain, Mr. PK Jain. Let's just look at the sequence of events that unfolded. There were 3 children who died in the national capital. There were coaching institutes. There were libraries that were functioning under the basement. There were classes that were happening in the basement that was completely illegal, not for 1 month, 2 months, for decades. This was going on across Rajendra Nagar, across Mukherjee Nagar, across Patel Nagar, and not just Delhi, even other places, but nonetheless, we're talking about Delhi for that matter. And then you have 3 children dying because there was water that stormed in because the drain was not functioning. A driver gets arrested, and then the police says we were under pressure by the media. This is not accepted of the Indian police forces, sir. I mean, we would not.
It is not accepted. Actually, as I have earlier also committed, I said there was no reason for the driver to be booked. If at all somebody had to be booked, it was the municipal officers who turned a blind eye to this kind of a violent violation of the rules. And the second was the operator of this library or the person who owned this library, who was running this library in the basement. So it is basically those people who have to be prosecuted, not the driver, who, because of the flooded, inundated street, as you already rightly said, who sped his vehicle to just go through, and because of which some water may have come into the basement. But it was basically the fault of the municipal officers. And I would congratulate the court for a change. Normally it doesn't happen. In all the illegal buildings, all the illegal constructions, it is the poor investor who pays for it. I mean, he pays through his nose. He acquires a flat or an office, and decades down the line, either the court or the corporation says that this was an illegal building, and they demolish it. And nothing happens to the concerned civic officers in whose time this building was erected and it became operational, and then continued to be operational for years to come. This is fortunately the court has taken a cognizance. I hope that some action takes place, because eventually what happens in the files, this kind of a thing will also be brushed under the table, and nothing will happen. I mean, nothing has happened in the past. There are cases in Mumbai Corporation where
I don't think we're at a stage where we can say nothing will happen. But allow me, sir, to just get in the other panelists as well. Sanjeev Kaushik, if I can get you in. Let's look at what the government is saying. Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Just one second,
Yes.
Sneha.
Yes, Mr. Jain.
I am saying this thing from experience. In Mumbai Municipal Corporation, an officer was prosecuted. The municipal commissioner refused to give sanction for prosecution for that person. This was a blatant. Recently, we had an accident where a hoarding fell and 17 people died. And now none of the municipal officers has been made accused in that. So these are the cases we know. We see them day in and day out. I have been a part of the establishment, but sad to say that none of the government officers, none of the civic officers pays a price for this kind of a criminal negligence.